The Jake Evans trade saga just keeps getting more intense as we have multiple reports, one coming from Pierre Lebrun indicating that, quote, all signs point to Montreal trading him, and an article from RG.org that links Jake Evans to multiple new teams that have reportedly expressed interest. We got to dive into all the latest Jake Evans and Habs trade deadline updates, but we also have some prospect talk today as Oliver Kapanen has joined an exclusive club in the SHL, and a lot more. All that coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. But speaking of prospects, Jesse, before we get to Kapanen, I want to talk about our boy Michael Hage. And we haven't had a little update on him in a little while, but he's still unbelievable. He's right at the top there of the leaderboard for freshman scoring, 32 points, 13 goals in 29 games in his freshman season. He's still 18. He doesn't even turn 19 until April. And there was a recent article on Elite Prospects that came out indicating some good things about Hage, but there was a quote within some stuff that we saw online, and I will link it below, from Mark Dubé of McKean's, which is a prospect, a company that goes into a lot of scouting and prospect stuff like that. Mark Dubé of McKean said, Hage projects to be a solid second-line NHL center with potential to be very comfortable as a top-line center. He's in the mold of Nick Suzuki, but not as defensively strong. He should be in the realm of 70 to 80 points at the NHL level, and most certainly should join the Habs at some point in the future. Now, I know this is just projections, but this is still kind of crazy to me. I get his freshman season is, I don't know if I want to say unprecedented, but very, very exciting to us. And to hear this kind of praise from someone who looks a lot into prospects and into scouting for a living is very nice to hear.
Yeah, this is huge. Like, saying that he has the first line potential as a center is absolutely unreal, because as the season's kind of progressed, there's people saying, like, could this guy maybe be like a first line on the wing? Now he's going first line center potential. Obviously, he's going to have to pay his dues, but obviously he's projecting to be that type of player, 70, 80, maybe a 1A, 1B with Suzuki. Definitely will need to get a little bit of development under his belt, but he is just doing everything right now to really help that case and kind of further his professional career, because people are even calling him like the steal of the draft right now, which is just phenomenal. And Josh, I can admit now that that Hage was the better culture fit over Yzerman.
Yeah.
I can see that now. I can realize it hurt for a little bit, but I get that now. I think he's just bringing so much to the table. He's making me excited. I saw him as a potential, definitely prospect for them kind of going forward. So just amazing what he's doing this year. And I'm all here for the Hage hype train right now.
Absolutely, me too. I actually went back and watched our reaction to that pick, and honestly, our reaction was kind of like, hey, Yzerman's gone, that's okay, what else we got? And we were happy. Like, we got Hage, and then we heard the story, which we didn't know, and like, that's the thing, there's a whole story with him, this drive to be a Montreal Canadian, and we're seeing the level of production that, I mean, like, look, it's exactly what you want to see from someone drafted where he was. His offensive potential looks unbelievable. I mean, no, he's not looking like a future 100-point player or anything like that yet. But again, to have some top scouts, to have a lot of people involved in watching prospects say that he has the potential to be a second, if not first-line player, is just unbelievable. Leave some Michael Hage love down below. But Jesse, there's going to be some competition for that center spot in the coming years. We know that's a fact. And Owen Beck's play recently has highlighted that. But it's not just him. We got to talk about our boy over in Sweden. We got to give you these Oliver Kapanen updates every now and then, because this guy is unbelievable. He's now up to 14 goals, 16 assists in 30 games. He has 30 points in 30 games in the SHL. He has 4 goals, 4 assists in his last 6 games. And he's one of only 4 SHL regulars, as in people who have played over 10 games, because below 10 games, the point per game sample is a bit weird. But one of only 4 players in the entire SHL, Jesse, to be a point per game. And I want to highlight the fact as well, the next youngest player, Oliver Kapanen, is the youngest player until you get to number 44, where you see Axel Sandin-Pellikka, who is another very highly touted draft pick, right? Kapanen right now, and his teammates Hollander and Dahlin are right there all in that top 4, but the fact he's point per game at 21 years old and looking unbelievable on the European ice this year is something we can't sleep on. This guy is going to be pushing guys like Beck and Hage for that center spot as well.
Yeah, he is the best player of his age in the SHL right now. In fact, second place is almost half his point production at 0.62 points per game right now. So he's just killing it. 4th in points per game just in the league period right now. Now, the question with Kapanen is just like, if he can adapt to the physical game, he's going to really get a great spot in the NHL. Like, he can get that top 6 type of role, which, we're just having a lot of treasures really coming to the Montreal Canadiens, because we're having some prospects that are really kind of blossoming, if not having a very strong top 9, because really what he's doing right now is showing that he's going to come into camp and there's going to be some very tough roster battles coming up.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I'm excited for. And like not only at the center spot, we got a lot of defensive spots that are gonna have competition. We got the goalie spots in the coming couple of seasons now, but Dobesh doing better and better, and Monty still being solid, but Jacob Fowler coming up through the wings, and who even knows about a guy like Yevgeny Volokhin, who we don't really talk about a whole lot, right? There's so many guys, but again, Oliver Kapanen doing what he's doing right now is unbelievable. So leave some prospect love down below. Like, we try to keep you guys updated on this stuff because it honestly is crazy how good so many Habs prospects are doing. There's a reason we're ranked in the top 3 in pretty much any measurement of top prospect pools in the league. But Jesse, as much as we talk about the future of the Habs center position, the present situation as well is, it's a bit interesting, right? And look, there's been a lot of stuff coming out about Jake Evans recently, but most notably coming from yesterday, Pierre LeBrun, the most recent thing in Insider Trading, said, following up on what I reported on Super Bowl Sunday, both sides remain far apart. Neither side's moved. There's not been any progress since then, so they're exactly where they were a couple of weeks ago, just before the Four Nations break, which again just leads to more speculation that the Habs will end up moving Jake Evans, who's a pending UFA, before the March 7th trade deadline. But this isn't even the biggest thing here, Jesse. The biggest thing is a report coming from BPM Spal on Twitter saying, based on what multiple sources close to the situation have indicated to Tony Marinaro, so take it with a grain of salt, but it is a report here, Jake Evans' camp is going to ask for a 5-year, $20 million contract. Don't know if that's exactly a fact or not, but that's all we can go off of right now, and I think it makes sense based on his production. It lines up with the number I would have had in my head for what I expected him to ask. To hear that number, Jesse, and to hear even Pierre LeBrun saying, as of right now, all signs point towards a trade, what is your thought that Montreal will be able to work this out with Jake Evans? And where do you think the sticking point is? Because to me, I think it's probably the term. I feel like Montreal does not want to go to 5 years at that cap hit. But right now, like, again, with the rumors swirling, with this contract offer reportedly leaked, it does seem to be that Pierre might be right and a trade might be on the horizon.
Yeah, term, as I mentioned, is always going to be the biggest factor going into all of this. You're looking at paying, a bottom 6 player, into 33, 34 years old. It's really not the best plan going forward, even of just signing those longer term deals for your bottom 6 players, unfortunately, which is tough because we got a lot of young centers coming up, and it would be absolutely phenomenal to have Jake Evans there with him. Where has the time gone, though, that we're talking about Jake Evans and retirement right now, because that's what he's planning for right now. Is he wants a deal, 5-year deal. Right now he's 28, to just kind of see him out for the rest of his career, which is, for me, when I was just doing the math on that in the beginning, it's like I knew what he was going for. We're now hearing the reports that's like, okay, it seems like he is going exactly for that deal to kind of end out his career there. And that's why it doesn't make sense. For me, I do 3 years. I do not do 4 years if I'm Kent Hughes. I got too many prospects. I want a guy like Evans around. 4 years, even then, that's a little bit too much for me at that point in time. 3 years, I don't mind, especially with the cap going up here. I think that, it's really, Kent Hughes has put his line in the sand, not only with Jake Evans, but also with other teams, where it's really, we know it's a second round or bust at this point in time, because as some people are saying right now, it's like, we're 5 points out. Some articles are saying just 5 points out, and it maybe makes sense if we're not able to get that, just to kind of keep them for a little bit of a run.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, drawing a line in the sand here. We got stuff coming out of New Jersey hockey now. Canadiens driving hard bargain on Devils trade target. We got RG.org putting out an article. All these will be linked down below as well, saying one source saying, oh, Jake Evans is out there, and I'm hearing multiple teams. He's the perfect guy for a team that thinks they can make a run, and he's that dependable bottom 6 and PK guy. I think he'll be moved for sure. And even Pierre LeBrun is saying, look, a 3rd or 4th round pick isn't going to move the needle for Montreal. They're going to ask for something more. Otherwise, try and keep him for a run. But again, Jesse, it's like, the $4 million cap hit, I could swallow, especially with the cap going up, because he's playing like a $3.5 million player now, I would say. And, $4 million in 2-3 years is going to be about the same as that. So I'm not too worried about that number. Still tough for a bottom 6 player, but he's given enough value. But there's so many teams that are reportedly interested. We got this list from RG.org of teams that have reportedly inquired, the LA Kings, Seattle Kraken, the Blackhawks, the Devils, like we've heard a lot of links before, the Islanders, the Lightning, and another sneaky team, I think, is the Minnesota Wild, with Joel Eriksson now being out, who knows for how long, for a while at least, with a new injury he sustained at practice. Jesse, the thing is, there's a lot of teams out there right now, a lot of teams bidding on Jake Evans, and a lot of teams that may be willing to give him that 5-year deal because they are in their contention window, right? Look at the list of these teams right here. A lot of these teams are ready to compete right now and for the next 5 years. They might be more willing to swallow that cap hit for Evans. So again, as the days go on, I'm starting to think not only is he definitely going to be moved, but the bidding war is going to drive things up. And hey, who knows? Maybe one of those teams will take on an Evans Armia pair.
Because he's looking right now like maybe getting paid for $4 million, but kind of having that in 1 year of his contract year for me, still I need a little bit more of a run than that. Because I mean, we're talking about a significant raise from 1.7 million, even with the cap going up to 5 million. Of course, a lot of things are put up there. It's kind of to set a ceiling there. Josh, I don't do this often on the show. I'll do a 4-year just because I love Jake Evans. That's the max term that I'm really doing on him. I 4 mil I could probably do, but to be honest, it's like, the 5 years is where I really draw the line. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. He brings a lot to this table. We have so many young guys, so like, I think Hughes desperately wants to keep on to this vet here, but like, if this is what Jake Evans is looking for, this definitely isn't a team-friendly deal here, so I just feel like that would definitely be hard to do.
It's going to be tough, right? Like, you got to think there are teams that are willing to do it, even if it's not Montreal, and maybe Kent is trying to finagle his way into sending Jake Evans somewhere where he can get his bag. Because, dude, the dude deserves. I love Jake Evans. I want to see him stick around, right? But there's so many external factors here. We want to hear what you guys have to say about the contract, the reported teams linked to him. Where is he going to go? What's going to happen? Let us know your thoughts on this whole situation down below, because that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.